Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. I'm on my way to pick up a drop-off of winter military surplus. Come check it out. Well, there it is. Looks like a decent amount. Let's open her up and see what's inside. I'll tell you what, before we pop this thing open, let's go over the surplus I'm wearing. We'll start off with my poncho. This is a 1980s German snow poncho. It's got this splotch camo on it. Really goes well in like evergreen areas like pine forests and places like that. I like this and that it is breathable and it's cotton, and yes, in wet snow it could definitely absorb a lot of water and freeze up and stuff. But the nice thing about this is you can wear it over your kit and you can access your kit however you need to. Just go ahead and reach in, pull out whatever you need, a magazine, what have you, do magazine changes, anything like that. You can access pretty much your entire kit, and that's very convenient. And to be able to have access to your kit, but still also have basically a cloak you're wearing. And this thing, now granted, it's old. Like me, we're old. If I were to probably bleach this, it would be a lot more white. But if you need to hunker down in this thing with the hood up for a little while, you blend in. And if your insulation is good inside and it's really cold outside, the snow that collects on the outside should not melt. So all depends on the temperature. We'll go ahead and take this off and show you the next layer. Oh, you like my camo job on my AR-15A1? I like it. Now, this is the part that's very essential when you're out patrolling, hiking, what have you, is when you are stopped for a while, it's time to allow yourself to cool down and evaporate. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here in a minute. Now, the overwhites, you've seen in my videos before. And I've wore, the past couple times I've been out. And it's British surplus, again, 1980s vintage, as is my LBE. And it's fairly breathable for nylon. This is very thin nylon, but it does just enough coverage to keep you blending in the winter environment. Now, what I was talking about as far as thawing out or cooling down and evaporation, that's going to come right now, because I am particularly sweaty underneath this. And when you are sweaty, if you do not allow your body heat to help you dry off in very cold temperatures, you're going to be miserable. You're never going to be able to stay warm. You can always layer back up as you need to. There we go. Now this exposes another piece of surplus that I picked up. I picked this up this summer from, it was either eBay or, believe it or not, Etsy. And it is an original. I would say it would have to be 80s or earlier, because it is 100% wool. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but it should start steaming, allowing that sweat to evaporate off of me. Whenever I'm setting up camp, this is what I do. I strip down to as low as I can possibly go and still be able to get my work done and to be able to do all of those chores and processes you need around camp, because I'm being active. And when I'm being active, I am generating some heat, but it's also allowing all of this moisture that has accumulated on my base layer and to evaporate up through this wool. And that's the beautiful thing about wool sweaters, is that they create all these little air pockets, and there is openings in this wool. You stretch it out, there are openings in it. But that is one of the charms about its insulation factor, is it traps air in all of those little pockets. Now, I think they continued to issue this far beyond after I got out. Probably started replacing it over with polypropylene and things like this. But this was one of my favorite pieces of kit that I had when I was actually in the Army. Combine this with a wool shirt, it's much warmer and much more comfortable than the M65 field jacket with a field jacket liner, because it's more streamlined. You can do more things with it and still stay warm. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up this box, see what else we have in there. A couple other pieces of things I'm wearing, but I'll show you those here in just a few minutes. Okay, let's open her up. Okay, here we go. Oh, compartmentalization. I love it. Oh, looks like a lot of really great stuff. Let's go ahead and start with the smalls. Now, these are USGI issue 100% wool glove liners. These things are fantastic. My wonderful wife purchased these for me for Christmas. Now, that is a keeper right there, when you have a wife that actually purchases you surplus for Christmas. These things are absolutely fantastic to wear by themselves, but they really are fantastic for winter when you're wearing those leather glove shells. And haven't got a pair of those yet. Still looking for the right size, right pair. They're everywhere, I know. I just haven't ordered them yet. But I got the glove liners, so that's checked off my list. Now, these, you can do a lot of stuff in these, but unfortunately, they do collect moisture. And if you're messing around in the snow and things like that, they'll get wet really quick. And you can't do really fine motor skills with those. With you know, if you're wanting to do dexterity, it limits your dexterity. Okay. So these right here are a pair of used pilot gloves, and these aren't particularly warm, but they're warm enough once you wear them for a few minutes that your body temperature starts warming up that wool. If you keep these in your hip pockets, they're already warm, so you don't have to warm them up. It's not like you get an airdrop of surplus in the woods and you go pick it up like I just did. But these right here, you can do a lot of fine stuff. Now, I probably wouldn't completely break down my AR-15 with a cotter pen and things like that, but you would be able to do quite a few fine motor skill tasks with these on and get a little bit of warmth. If you want uber warmth as far as gloves go, these trigger mitts, They are the bomb. And it comes with a lanyard, and you wear that around your neck. Now, what I did with mine is I put the lanyard on, tied the ends to the gloves, and would run my gloves down through my parka. And that way they were attached in the sleeves. You can very easily just wear them around your neck and leave them flopping like this. But when they are at your sleeves and you're bending over and doing stuff, they're not really in your way. This is a pair of definitely, this is exactly the same kind I had when I was in, and they have a wool insert in them, and it's a trigger mitten too. Now, these were always fun to wear in a sleeping bag. And it kept your hands pretty warm, and they have a decent enough size in them. You can actually slide a hand warmer down inside of those. Just pull your finger out of that, and you can really collect a lot of heat with a heat warmer. Keep your fingers really nice and warm. But these, they're canvas and leather. The back is canvas. All this is fine leather. I used to use Kiwi's neutral conditioner. There was no color in it, and it conditioned the leather, so it waterproofed it. And I never ever messed with waterproofing the canvas. Never really felt a need for it. And because usually if I was wearing these, it was cold enough to where the snow was dry enough, it wouldn't collect on them. You have a little adjustment here to keep those in place. And I always pulled my parka sleeves over this, so it limited any possibility of snow getting down inside of your glove. Now, some people don't like the trigger mitts. They don't care for the liners. They are sort of clunky, but they definitely work. They're definitely nice and warm. You could very easily just go ahead and wear your wool glove liners. They aren't nearly as warm, they aren't as thick, and keep them on like this, so that way if you do need to wind up using your hands for more meticulous manipulation, you could always pull that off, and you have these, which gives you a lot more dexterity. And last little bit of smalls here is twofold. Now, this we called a pile cap, Gomer pile cap, and I don't know why, we just did. This thing is actually a helmet liner, and you can wear it on its own without a helmet, and keeps your noggin nice and warm. If it's particularly cold and windy and your ears are really suffering, you just go ahead and reach up, detach that Velcro, pull it around, pull it up around your chin, and this thing's very warm. It's wool lined, and there's a gusset in the back that is like a spandex type material, so it conforms to the shape of your head, and it fits loose enough to where you're not going to squeeze your noggin, but it holds it in place, which is really nice. There are two eyelets. Let's see, there's one here and there's one here. They look like buttonholes. Those eyelets are designed for you to, when you put your helmet on, to slide your chin strap through those eyelets, and you can snap your helmet chin strap and then put this back on and keep you warm while you're wearing a steel pot. Now, the steel helmets, they are essentially glorified bump helmets. They would protect you from limited shrapnel, but definitely not bulletproof or anything else like that. But working on armored vehicles, especially as a scout, you're moving around inside the APC, wearing that steel pot was a real saver, because everything inside an armored personnel carrier, or a tank for that matter, it will hurt you if you bump into it. That's just the way everything is. Steel, everything's welded in place. I mean, I've seen some very serious injuries on an armored personnel carrier from people not having their steel pot on. If you were the driver or the track commander, you had a CVC helmet, and that's what you wore when you were inside the vehicle. Tank crews, everybody in the tank crew has a CVC helmet. So, you know, that was the bump helmet for them. But this is a very, very nice piece of winter kit. Now, after I'd been in for a little while, we had some new guys come in, and they were taking their stuff out that they got from supply, you know, all their fuel gear and everything. And, you know, they were taking the sleeping bag out of the plastic bag, and then this thing fell out. And I said, what's this? What's this? And it's a sleep cap. I call it my bring out your dead cap. This thing right here is really thin. It's like a polypropylene type of material. It's synthetic, but it offers just enough warmth around your head when you're inside your sleeping bag. And the other thing is, we had some guys when I was in that all this is wool. They were allergic to wool, and you know, some people will react differently to it. But if they wore something like this, they could wear anything wool, anything 100% wool, and it would not negatively affect their ears or their skin or anything else, because you had that protective layer in there. And it also provides a really decent added bit of insulation. I call it insulation multiplier when it's excessively cold and you're wearing one of these, because it fits a good bit more snugly around your face and your ears than the pile cap does. And yeah, very nice. Let's see what else we have in here. Oh, this right here may not look like a piece of winter surplus. This is a waterproof bag that we used to put down inside of our rucksacks, and we would put all of our stuff in there that we did not want to get wet. A lot of times we could just put a sleeping bag in it, roll it up, and it would keep everything dry. In the winter, if you have something that's wet, you have a worthless piece of something, whatever that is. And to have a very waterproof bag, this is rubberized nylon. And this right here, I have, when I was in the Army, I used it to transport water in. That's how waterproof it is. And as long as you're getting one that's, you know, new old stock or like new condition, even after all these years, this is definitely the same type of bag that I had when I was in. So it's at least 40 years old, and still like in like new condition if it wasn't new old stock. Now, my second favorite field item for the cold was the wool shirt, the wool field shirt. This thing right here, it was so odd because this thing looked so out of place with everything else that we had issued. You know, things were woodland camo and things like it. Just seemed like really, really old. But the first time I wore this thing in conjunction with my sweater, oh wow, it was a game changer. Now I'm going to show you the tag in this. I ordered this from I believe it was Etsy, and I'll put this up here, you can see the tag. Now the date on this 1956. So this was a little bit different than the one that I had. The one that I had, the breast pockets weren't as deep. These are super deep breast pockets. And this thing is so warm and comfortable. I don't know what kind of wool they made this from, but if you've ever had any type of wool that just seems scratchy, I mean, it irritated your skin, this thing's not like this at all. It's like one of Cabela, or not Cabela's, but LL Bean's chamois shirts. It's really nice and soft. And the buttons are like a brown Bakelite. So it's definitely not the buttons that we had when I was in. But and I got it large, long, and I believe that was the size. If not, that was just large. And but after all these years, from the 1950s, this thing is like new. And believe it or not, I think I paid something like 35 bucks for it. But yeah, boy, this is nice. Very, very nice. But I'm certain they did not continue to issue this long after I got out. For me personally, I think it's worth the wait, but I'm certain that this shirt probably weighs twice of what one of the newer shirts go, or mid layers go for. Oh, like this. Like this, let's say ECWCS, Extreme Cold Weather System, Gen 3. This right here, I'm assuming because it's Coyote Brown that it's probably USMC, but this is a Gen 3. Now this is what they go for now, and I don't know. This right here is probably about the same weight as this. Wool is not by nature flammable. So if you get a few sparks or something on this, you know, you might burn a hole in it, but it's not going to catch fire. This kind of stuff here, I'm certain, I read a label, I'm certain this does not contain Nomex. So if this caught on fire or you were near an open flame, this would melt. This might have holes burned in it, but it's not going to melt. It's not going to melt to your skin. And I've worn this a good little bit. It is, yeah, it's sweater warm. Like you wear a cardigan sweater, just take a little bit of the chill off. But it doesn't stop the wind, so you really need to have your Gore-Tex layer or a wind shirt of some type over top of this to help that insulation stay in. But this right here is super comfortable. Like if you have one of those really cold nights and you're wanting a little insulation multiplier for your sleeping bag, something like this, that would do you right, and it would be super, super comfy. 100% guaranteed, no scratchy, no irritation like wool can give some people. So I guess when you're looking at the masses, it was a decent choice to switch to. Now getting down to the bottom, the last thing that I have is a complete puffy set. This is part of the extreme cold weather system as well, and these things are remarkably warm. If you are low mobility, as if you are at your base camp and you're not doing a whole lot, you're not, you know, collecting firewood, you're just chilling around camp, things like that, this is like wearing a sleeping bag. This thing is stupid warm. I only have one other article of clothing that's warmer than this, and it was a parka. It was called a transport parka I purchased from Wild Things Gear, and that thing was designed specifically to put over everything that you're wearing. And like if you're in the back of a deuce and half, or well, I don't think anybody be in a deuce and half today, but in my case, like if I would have been in a deuce and half and having to be transported someplace, that right there is something you could put on where you're exposed to the elements and you're going to be stationary for a while. It's going to keep you good and warm. It is warmer than this, and I rarely ever have a need for that thing. But this right here, if you are familiar with this system, this is an integral part of it for extreme cold environments. And this on its own, this would be a very good winter coat with a waterproof or a windproof shell. The insulation is synthetic. The exterior is all synthetic, but the thing is, water can absorb into this, and even though it's pretty well insulated, if it's a wet snow, it's going to absorb through, and some of your body heat, especially if it's really coming down, will get on this. It might soak through, and that would be absolutely horrible. Now, I've got the coat. I bought the coat and the trousers separately. I think I spent $30 for the coat, and I spent $40 for the coat, and I spent $30 for the pants. I really love the design of the pants because the zipper goes all the way from the bottom cuff all the way up to basically maybe 6 to 8 inches from, no, excuse me, open this up. Oh, it goes all the way up and off. I can completely remove this. And so that way I don't have to take off my gaiters, which I'm glad I said gaiters because I'm wearing gaiters I want to show you too. They're also surplus. This right here will remove all the way off. Velcro at the cuff to protect the zipper that's down here, and Velcro up here to protect the zipper up there so it won't get snagged on anything and come undone. That way you don't have to take your boots off. You don't have to do any of that in order to put these on or take them off. It's got a zipper fly. Again, another piece of Velcro to take the place of a button. Velcro in extreme cold weather situations I think is a really good idea, simply because when you have gloves on, it's hard to manipulate buttons. Even the great big buttons that's on the British smocks and things like that, they're still a little more difficult. And plus, if your hands are super cold, your dexterity is really bad. And but these things together is literally like wearing a sleeping bag. As long as you have excellent socks and you have excellent boots with this kit, there's no excuse to be cold if you have this stuff available to you. And it's fantastic. Now, these are large trousers, and the coat is a medium. I wear a large on just about everything, but this medium, because it's designed to go over your kit, fits me very well, and I wear this as a liner for my sword multicam smock, and it's super warm like that in that configuration. But even if I'm wearing a TAPS tactical rig, because everything is so close to your body, this goes over that and zips up, and there's ample room to be able to cover something like that up. But if you have plate carriers and all this other stuff, this right here, you definitely have to get, you know, the large. I would have to get the large in order to cover those things up. But other than that, absolutely fantastic find, absolutely fantastic price for an absolutely fantastic piece of kit. Now the last piece of kit of surplus I want to show you are my gaiters. Now these are Outdoor Research gaiters. I'm assuming because they're coyote brown that they were Marine Corps. I actually have a pair of Outdoor Research multicam gaiters, and I've had those things for years. Those were ridiculously expensive. Even on sale, they were ridiculously expensive. I picked these up at our local indoor flea market. I think I paid maybe $15 for the pair, and they're extremely lightly used. They are just a tad below unissued condition. I mean, they're really phenomenal. Gaiters are an essential part of your winter kit. It provides warmth, it provides waterproofing, it provides the ability to keep snow out of your boots, and it also protects your laces for your boots so those don't get frozen up, and if you need to take them off, you have to thaw them out somehow or fight with the ice. I've had situations to where my laces were so frozen that they could not be untied until I held them long enough that they melted enough to where I could untie them. This completely negates that. You have a nice heavy-duty rubberized strap that goes under the bottom. It's all Velcro. You have a hook here that hooks into your laces down here, and a top of the calf Velcro adjuster to where you can get that good and snug. And they turn briars. Gaiters are a must-have if you spend a lot of time outdoors, and if you can pick up a pair of these Outdoor Research surplus gaiters, especially for the price I did, pick up as many as you can. Give them to a friend. Make them happy. Now, last thing I'm going to share with you is this box. This box is just a military transportation box of some type, and this one here was the M-Star main electronics assembly, box 2 of 2. Caution, this side up. Well, I didn't read that. I just lucked out by having that side up, but I purchased this specifically for my winter camping. Now I'm going to be setting up a winter base camp with my cozy shack, my wood stove, and all that stuff. Well, last year I left everything in there and zipped it all up, didn't think anything about it. Well, I had families of field mice take residence in my stuff, and I didn't particularly care for that because some of the stuff they chewed up and they left all their little presents behind, and you could definitely see stains on certain things from urine and everything else. So I didn't like that. So I picked this up specifically to put my sleeping bag, anything that I'm going to be leaving in my winter base camp while I'm gone for weeks at a time, and then coming back on the weekends to where I can camp there again. Everything's going to be in this, and probably some extra food, things like that. Anything that I don't want critters messing with is going to go in this box. Just like with any piece of surplus, whenever you're looking at things like this, check out all the fixtures. Make certain that all of these things work, because if you have anything that's here that's broken and you're not paying attention to it, you bring it home, that might be a deal breaker for you, but then it's too late, especially if you buy stuff at flea markets. Pretty much all sales are final. But I checked everything out, everything, all the hinges, all of the clasp lock mechanisms all the way around are good. The seal is perfect, not a crack in the seal. So this is actually, once everything's buckled up in this, it is waterproof. And so even if you found something like this to where these one or two of them might be messed up, that's okay. Maybe it is that you don't want to use those anyway, and you would just drill those out where they melt and put a hasp to where you could put a padlock on there. You could definitely do something like that. But, you know, a box this size is big enough to take care of all the things I would be leaving at my base camp, and maybe a few extra things just in case I forget something. Who in the world ever forgets something when they go camping, right? But, you know, a few extra items in there, more than big enough for that, but not too big that I can't transport it. And so that will come in pretty handy. Looking forward to my winter camps. Hopefully, if not next weekend, the weekend after that, I'll be able to get out to start actually camping. And I specifically held off on setting my base camp up just simply because I knew we were going to get this heavy snow. And the last time I had it up last year, we did get a heavy snow, and it was a little while before I could get back out there, and the weight of the snow really stretched out the tent quite a bit, and didn't really care for that. So I was going to wait for this big heavy snow to get taken care of, and once this melts off a little bit, I'll be setting her up and enjoying time in the woods, hot tent style. Well, folks, there you have it. My supply drop of winter military surplus and a few backstories behind them. I feel like I'm in my sleeping bag right now. This is stupid warm. And if I was moving around like I was at the beginning of the video, I would be completely soaked wearing this stuff. So, hopefully you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed filming it, and especially reminiscing about the stuff that I had when I was in the United States Army way back a long time ago. Well, folks, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.